Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol NVAX for Novavax Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be an update. We've talked about this stock on the channel in the past, and obviously, with all of the concerns about the new variant out there, this being a vaccine company, it's going to have a tremendous amount of volatility into the remainder of the week. You can certainly see on today's session, we did gap up. However, we printed a bearish engulfing candle, fully taking back the entire range from the Friday session. So that right out of the gates has to be a bearish indication. It also happened on equivalent volume to the breakout from Friday. So again, to me, we're always going to opt for the candle in front, and this bearish engulfer does not look so promising. The only thing that we have going for us right now, at least if you're trying to play this to the long side, is the fact that we are sort of supporting at the daily 200 SMA. We've chopped through it in the past, so I wouldn't read into that too much, but we also have a horizontal area that's important here at 187, give or take, just underneath us. So yeah, there is about $13 worth of room to fall. However, in the grand scheme of things, like this move here is really not a whole lot when we're thinking about, the volatility and the actual range that was put in on today's session. So I do think that there could be some more downside. Ultimately, that first level to watch, as we mentioned, is 187. Anything underneath that, you can see all of the interaction we've had here at around 173. It's also the daily 50 SMA as of right now. That will slowly start to curl higher. So maybe it catches us a little bit early, 175-ish area, but time will ultimately tell. Once again, from the daily, what we're getting at is a fairly bearish candle here that printed on today's session. Let's take a closer look at the 30-minute intraday now, just to see how the selling actually unfolded. So right out of the gates, a little bit of a pop higher. I would actually be very curious to see if we took out the overnight high or not. And would you look at that? Okay, so this is that framework that I'm always talking about when we're sort of dealing with gap ups and downs on the channel. Remember, you want to know where the open is. You want to know where the overnight high is. Look how the opening drive never even came close to the overnight highs. We reverse back down through the open, fill the gap, and then some here inside of Novavax. So that is a perfect example of how this type of thing can unfold. I did want to cover that. Now let's quickly again come back in and look through the lens of Fibonacci. So coming in from the high of the first move down to the lows essentially here, that would have been the true low. What you'll notice is the 38.2 did resist, so the sellers did hold up as being fairly strong here. Next, we'll take out the fibs for the entire day's range, so coming from the top all the way down to the low. And would you look at that? Okay, so the 38.2 is now coinciding with these lows from a structural perspective, also the highs from Friday on that early morning push, and certainly into the end of day here on today's session. It's not like we made any attempts to get back up and over that 38.2. So please do remember that any consolidation that essentially happens down here is just further bear flag consolidation. Breakdowns, as we pointed out, should take us into 187, and then anything underneath 173.89. The only way that things change here is if we can recapture that 38.2, which again is coinciding very nicely with some structural elements here on our 30-minute chart. So I'm going to remove those fibs. And once again, you can see how it was the big flush point from here, prior highs from the Friday session. If we can poke back up and through it, maybe there's a squeeze into about 221.58. And then from there, you'd look for the high of day. But remember, 221.58 is a fairly important area of daily resistance, now that we're below it, essentially coming from prior support, right? Bottom end of the range in there. All of these people are essentially overhead supply. We've discussed this concept in the past, how again, on any sort of first move for getting out at break even, that's where we would expect them to sell. Because we have 2-day highs here closer to 230, maybe give it a little bit more wiggle room to the upside, but ultimately that's what I'm watching out for here inside of Novavax. If you enjoyed the video today or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.